I remember growing up as a young black girl and not seeing any images which represented me. And then my brother had a daughter, and I remember saying to myself that I didn't want my nieces to grow up in a world where they thought being a black girl wasn't enough. I wanted to build a brand that she would be proud of, but also see herself represented by, so that she wouldn't grow up in a world where she thinks that something's wrong with her for her not looking like everyone else in the country. The idea for TreasureTress came after two very different experiences. So one experience was I went on an internship to Beijing for a month, and halfway through my internship I lost all of my hair care products and I lost my hairbrush. And so as you can imagine, that was literally the worst place on earth to lose hair products. And so I had to go to a Russian supermarket and I had to buy like some cheap shampoo, some cheap gel, and they didn't have hairbrushes, so I had to buy a shoe brush. And for the rest of my internship, I had to do my hair with those three things. And I stopped taking photos at that point, so there's no pictures from that internship. But that really made me realize that if you don't live in London, and if you don't live somewhere central in the US, then you won't have access to quality hair products to help you care for your hair, and even the most basic products to help you care for your hair. So after I got back from Beijing, I then went to New York. And when I was in New York, I discovered the subscription box as a business model. And I also realized that there was an endless and abundant amount of hair care products for textured hair, black hair, afro hair, curly hair, kinky hair. And I just thought, this is crazy, literally two polar opposites. And when I looked back at the UK, we hadn't yet adopted the subscription box model, and we definitely hadn't adopted the brands that were available to care for textured hair. So I said to myself, when I get back to the UK, if it doesn't already exist, then I'm going to create a subscription box specifically for black women and multicultural women to help us care for our hair. So I actually launched TreasureTress once I was back in the UK and when I was working a full-time job in asset management. So I literally went from corporate to startup with no in-between and no like training ground at all. I launched the business while I was still working full-time, which meant that I was pretty much moonlighting. I had to be at work by 7 a.m. It finished at 7 p.m. and then I would be up till like 2 a.m. working on the business, up again at 5 working on the business, and then making my way to work. So it was a bit crazy and it was very, very hectic. And then it got to the point where I couldn't continue to do both. And at that point, I decided to take the leap and just see what happened if I poured all of my energy into TreasureTress. And it sounded great. In my mind, it felt great. But in reality, on that first day after quitting my job, I was like, what the hell have I done? Because I don't know what I should do next. Like, what is the next best thing for me to do right now? And so from that point, I realized that I just have to continue to work backwards. So because our boxes go out on a monthly basis, I was like, okay, everything that I do will lead up to that definite date every month. And so I'll set myself a schedule based on when the boxes need to go out, when I need to engage brands, when the products need to arrive, so on and so forth. And I mean, it wasn't an overnight thing, but it pretty much did evolve from there because I started it in my bedroom at my mum's house. And then maybe 2 years later, we moved to a storage unit and ran the operations from there. 2 years later, we brought everything in-house, so had the office and the warehouse together. And now we work with a fulfillment center to fulfill our orders for us, and we have the office and now the store as well.
Hi, I'm Ruth. I'm the creative director at TreasureTress, and I'm going to come and show you what we've done with our Birmingham pop-up store. Come inside. So this is the TreasureTress laundrette, probably also known as laundromat. So here you can see we've kind of curated the space so you can actually build your own wash day. We've also got these softener bottles which are TreasureTress branded. You'll see Kinky Coily Power Wash at TreasureTress. So we've got our waiting area, again to keep in the traditional keeping of a laundrette. And the idea is that when we have our panel talks, we're going to have our styling and education days. These are also the chairs that are going to be used. So quite multifunctional and have worked really well with the theme. This is our favourite little feature here. We've got our little washing line. But this is the money shot. These are our washing machines. So we've got them TreasureTress branded, and then we've also got a digital screen which is just showcasing all our favourite content creators that we've worked with throughout the year. So this is our feature wall. So this is where we've actually built a whole wall of soap powder boxes. We've redesigned them, redesigned a traditional soap powder box to reflect a power wash. So the idea is it's huggably soft for textured hair by TreasureTress. So as we mentioned, we've got 5 different steps which allows you to build your dream wash day. So we've got shampoo, we've got conditioner. So leave-in has to be my favourite part of wash day because it's the part where you start seeing the results. And then we've got the styling section. And then finally we've got the beauty section. So this is just our way of just giving you something extra really in your box. So you can literally pick anything from favourite, which is Palmer's. They've got the vitamin E oil, you've got the facial oil, you've also got the body oil. So yeah, that would be my dream wash day. Thank you. I came to work with TreasureTress last year when they did the 7 Girls thing, which was next door to 5 Guys, and I think I came and just never left. So when Jamelia came to me with the concept for a laundrette, it was just a no-brainer. I just got stuck in, you know, we made mood boards, we looked at what was possible. At one point we thought washing machines were going to be impossible, but we found a way to make sure we could get them installed, make sure we could get them pink. It's always a challenge, but the challenge is worth it because creatively when it all comes together, you get an absolute visual dream like we've got here today. So the inspiration, I guess, came from the team. Everybody had their input in terms of what they thought would be quite cool to have in the space, what would be good. And yeah, just putting all of those ideas together and having the job to bring it to life. I'm really thrilled with the end result. So yeah, that's how it all came together.
My personal hair journey was an interesting one. I've always been obsessed with hair and beauty from as long as I can remember. So literally around the age of 2 or 3, I was always playing in my own hair or someone else's hair. Over here we call it reception nursery, when you're about 3 or 4 or 5. And during that time I used to always get in trouble because I wasn't paying attention to what the teacher was saying. I was too busy playing with someone's hair. So I quickly learned that, okay, I have this thing about hair which I really like it, I really enjoy it, but equally I was really frustrated with my own hair because I just couldn't seem to get it to grow. Thank God for the internet. I remember Googling why doesn't black hair grow, because it felt like my hair was growing to this length and not getting any longer. When I typed that in, I uncovered a ton of different blogs, predominantly in the US, about black women taking care of their hair and being able to grow their hair in length, in volume, and just really obtaining healthy hair. And that for me was something that I hadn't seen a lot in the UK. So I thought, oh, okay, it is attainable to have healthy hair as a black woman, but the things that I was doing to my own hair just wasn't right. So for example, I used to shampoo my hair, blow dry my hair, and straighten my hair using no products. So I'd shampoo my hair, I wouldn't condition it, I would just go straight into blow drying and straighten it because I would want it to look as straight as possible. And I think a lot of that did have to do with how I defined beauty at the time, because I defined beauty as straight hair. Living in the UK, we're very much a minority, and so there weren't a lot of places that I would go and see myself represented. That was a big challenge that I had personally, and it was also a lot of the inspiration for the brand that I was building, because at the time my brother was expecting my first niece, and I remember consciously saying to myself that I wanted to build a brand that she would be proud of, but also see herself represented by, so that she wouldn't grow up in a world where she thinks that something's wrong with her for her not looking like everyone else in the country. I've just seen her childhood and her perception of beauty be so different to mine at her age. So for example, if I ask her how she wants her hair, she'll say, oh, I want it like big and crazy like Auntie Jam. And I'm like, my hair's not crazy, but you can have it big like mine. But equally, she'll always opt for like braids instead of getting her hair straightened. She really, really loves her texture. And that's something that I didn't have at that age. So when I see things like that, I think, oh wow, we're really doing good work, and we're having the impression and the knock-on effect on the younger generation that I really wanted us to have. When I was building TreasureTress, imagery was super important to me, representation of course, and equally the quality of the products and the quality of the service, because for so long the quality of service was compromised in hair shops. Part of our brand vocabulary is normalizing natural hair, because it's not every day that you see women with natural hair, especially not in this country. So it's really important that it feels normalized. And so to walk into a shop like this where everything can work for you is really, really important, because there were subscription boxes in the UK, but no one was paying attention to black women. And so I knew that if I did buy one of those subscription boxes, I wouldn't be able to use anything in the box. So it's really refreshing for our customers to be able to try a box and be able to try everything that is in it. Before TreasureTress, black people were getting their products from black hair shops, so the equivalent of beauty supplies. The interesting thing is that the UK has the same problem as the US when it comes to ownership of beauty supplies, and therefore the level of care and service. There is a gradual shift from settling for the convenience of hair shops versus seeking out spaces like this or going online to purchase hair care from people who you can trust, who look like you, have hair like you, and actually understand what they're selling. The main differences between the African American consumer and the Black British consumer is the way that we shop for products, and a lot of it is to do with the distribution and the availability. So African American women predominantly have the privilege of being able to shop in most places quite easily. Like you have the Targets, you have the Walmarts who have understood and appreciated the importance of the black dollar and so are willing to cater to the black consumer. In the UK, we don't have that same outlook. So the way that we shop is completely different. Ours is born out of pure necessity because we know that the superstores, the supermarkets, mainstream, isn't going to cater to us the way that we want them to. And it's very insensical that that is actually the case, because when we look at the stats, black women in the UK account for 2% of the population, but 10% of the spend on beauty. So we massively over-index on how much we spend on beauty, but we're not represented in the same way or catered to in the same way as others. The downside of shopping in black hair shops is not only the customer experience, which isn't anywhere near where it should be. I think it's really, really unfair that black women are expected to shop beauty in a way that is completely substandard to the way that everyone else is. But not only that, there is high risk of the products in hair shops being fraudulent. So counterfeit products are sold in some of the black hair shops that resemble the brands that are really widely known. They're literally taking one copy of the genuine product, sending it to a factory and mass producing it, and then selling it back into the UK market. So counterfeit products are a huge problem. There literally exists a black market for black hair products. And so when we think about the way that we shop, the places that we shop, that's just another reason why we should be a lot more conscious, a lot more mindful, and a lot more intentional about shopping in spaces where we're not only represented, but supported and cared for.
Hi guys, I'm Beryl Botchway. I'm the brand partnership assistant here at TreasureTress. So we're gonna go through shampoos and then conditioners, and then we'll make our way around the whole store. So we've had a very long-standing relationship with Design Essentials. They were one of the first brands to work with us. Definitely something that I use on a day-to-day. Palmer's is literally our ride or die. They have been with us from the get-go. They were the first, like the first brand to sponsor us and to just work alongside us. We do a lot of activations with Palmer's. We definitely love Palmer's here at TreasureTress. Moving on to conditioner. My favorite conditioner is not here. Let's talk about Bleach London. So Bleach is a new brand that I've been working with. They essentially create hair dyes and dyeing products for women with curly hair to be able to give them that experience of colouring their hair without damaging their curls. And they're really big about not damaging and destroying curls. I'm going to show you something else actually. A lot of the brands that we have on the leave-in aisle are like the team's favourite products. So I would say one of our go-tos again is Design Essentials. I feel like everybody on the team absolutely loves Design Essentials, and I don't want to gas them up, but really good. So this is Carol's Daughter now. All the rest of the Carol's Daughter products have absolutely flown off the shelf. This is probably like the last thing we have. So this is Palmer's, another one of our lead sponsors. Great for the summer, great for that nice glow. Palmer's is such a huge legacy brand in the UK, and they really do push for all things like people of colour, black people focused. Definitely one of my favourite brands. A lot of the brands that I reach out to, I either have experience with using them myself and know that they work very well on curly hair, but also I think it's just great to kind of bring a lot of awareness to curly and kinky products in the industry. I think we don't get a platform to really show, or they don't get a platform to really show their products, so I go out of my way to make sure I find kinky and curly products for our lovely customers to try. Another reason why I select them is also their ethics and their values match ours. So just they care a lot about women of colour.
In my humble opinion, what makes TreasureTress different from other shopping experiences is the aesthetics, it's the vibe, it's the range of products, it's the quality of products, and it's also the knowledge of our team that work in store and in the office. So anyone can walk in and say hey, my hair's struggling with this, with that, And there's always going to be someone in store that can advise, oh, actually, you should try this product. Or actually, you would love this range. Or, okay, you're allergic to coconut oil, try this product instead. So it's very much the expertise, and it's just the effort and the intentionality of the whole experience. We literally think about things from the moment you enter the door to the minute you check out. And we think about it in a way that's really, I want to say, like very niche and very considered for the consumer that we know that we're serving. So when I was getting ready so I had the idea for TreasureTress, right? I knew what my frustration was, I knew what the pain point was, I knew what issue in the market I was destined to solve, but I didn't have any stats to back it up. It was very much just like a hunch. It was my intuition and that was it. And so I started digging for, okay, if I can find data to support what I think is the problem, then I'll be in a really good position, right? And so I started researching like how much do black women spend on beauty, like how much is the black hair care market worth in the UK, and there was absolutely nothing coming up. All of the stats and all of the insights were about African American women, but there was nothing about black British consumers. And so I thought, well, if no one else is going to research that data and if no one else is going to publish it, then I felt like we had a duty to do so. So we gathered the data that we had for like the last 6 years. We started to create the white paper, release it to the industry. Press covered it, all of the major papers picked it up. The news stations picked it up, and equally a lot of entrepreneurs reached out to say thank you so much for releasing this because you validated an issue and an experience that I knew that we were having, but I just didn't have the data to quantify it. And at that point I thought, okay, that was a really important move, not only for TreasureTress as a business, as a brand, and our position in the market, but equally for other entrepreneurs that want to solve problems for black consumers. Now they actually have the data and the numbers to support them. In my opinion, Black UK and Black American businesses can better support each other. It's a knowledge exchange. I feel like the resources that we have and the insights that we have on our market should definitely be exchanged with Black entrepreneurs in the US and vice versa, so that when we think about growing our businesses, we're thinking about it from a global lens. And I think what's really, really nice about the UK in particular is that once you conquer the UK, it is almost like a fast track into the other major continents. So it's a fast track into Ghana and Nigeria because we have such a great Ghanaian and Nigerian community here. We've also got such a great Caribbean culture here. So it's a fast track into Jamaica, Barbados, St. Lucia. There's literally so many nationalities and so many ethnicities that make up the UK. So I think it's really the value and knowledge exchange that is going to help us all collectively really elevate and go to the next level.
What do you wish US-based black consumers or business owners knew about UK black businesses?
I wish that US business owners and consumers knew that there were black people in the UK. Because every time I go to the US, literally for my whole life, it's always been like, oh, I didn't know there were black people in the UK, but there's a lot of us. We're small, but we're very, very powerful. So there are a lot of black people in the UK, and we're very much connected to like the islands and the continents that we first came from. And so, yeah, I think it would be great for us to leverage that and work together to create things just on a bigger, wider scale and start to benefit from economies of scale the way that other communities do. The next plans for TreasureTress is absolutely global expansion. Anytime we do something like this store, we're asked like, are you coming to Manchester? Are you coming to Leeds? Are you coming to Liverpool? Are you coming back to London? And so now we're thinking seriously about how do we solve the black hair shop issue on a more grassroots level. Like, what does that look like when we start to tap into brick and mortar more permanently? So that's definitely a consideration. In addition to fulfillment centers globally to ensure that we can get our boxes to our subscribers worldwide a lot sooner than we can shipping everything from the UK. So continually looking at TreasureTress through a global lens, and equally continually getting an understanding of what brands are struggling with globally in order to reach consumers and get their products into their bathrooms.